Okay guys, this is a little bit off the beaten track for me for what I normally create videos on, but I want to share a way of being able to highlight all of your customizations in WordPress, things like options pages or settings pages, CPTs, all that sort of stuff in your admin dashboard. What can happen is as you add add-ons, plugins, all that sort of stuff, and create more and more dynamic content, the admin menu in your WordPress can grow and grow and grow, and it makes it a little bit more difficult to find the things that you want to work on all the time. A lot of the stuff here you hardly touch, but your site settings you might touch often, your CPTs like your reviews, your team members you touch often. So in this case you can see I've just highlighted them in green, and I've used a little bit of code in WPCodeBox. Put this wherever you like. Here's the code here. I'm just using some variables for colors. I'm looking for any ID that contains the text menu dash post dash, and I'm also looking for my top level page site settings to colorize what we see there. Now if I switch that off and then refresh here, and by the way, this dangerous site thing, I'm using ZipWP, and for some reason Chrome just does not like their sites. I'd say probably 50-60% of the time I get this dangerous site from Chrome, but don't worry about that. Refresh this. So we've got no colorization, we've got no idea where our CPTs are, where our site settings are, and if this grows, they just blend in with everything else. So I'm going to show you my second option. I'm just going to turn it on, and we'll go simple first, and then we'll show you the more difficult, well, not difficult, but more involved. So I'm going to turn on my admin style v2 and refresh this. And you'll see there, did that refresh? We've got more prominent styling where we've got a background color, we've got a bit of a border on it, and we've got a hover effect on there. So it's kind of like a button. So it's pretty obvious when I go in here, there's my site settings, here's my reviews, here's my team members, which is what I'm going to access most of the time. Now the way this is done, if I go into MetaBox and go into my post types, and add a new post type, we'll call this events maybe. Excuse my plane flying over. I've got no noise cancelling on my mic because noise cancelling keeps messing things up for me. So we've got a basic post type here that we're creating in MetaBox. I'm not going to do anything else to this whatsoever. I'm just going to hit the publish on that. And you can see now my events is in the post types, and it is also now highlighted for me. Let's do the same with ACF. So if I go to ACF and go to my post types and then add a new post type, and I'll call this ACF test. And just say that's not setting anything up on these post types just right now. I'm just creating post types, and now you can see our ACF test is also highlighted. So once you get to a point where you build a site, it's really dynamic. You've got reviews, you've got team members, you've got it could be services, whatever. You've got a bunch of those. This is so much easier to find, right? Okay, so to do this, I'm going to show you one more thing, which is going to be the settings. So MetaBox calls them setting pages, ACF calls them options pages. They're the same thing. So I'm going to go into my MetaBox, into my settings pages. I'm going to create a new one. I call it test settings. And we want to put this after our why can't I see my site settings there? Show menu and dashboard. The parent menu being site settings. There's some weird stuff happening with this before. I think that's what worked for me last time. It doesn't quite put it there, so Bricks has obviously got a higher priority, but there's my test settings there. But I don't have any highlighting on it. So let's have a look at what the reason for that is. If I just refresh this page here, and we're actually on the admin style too. And I'm going to right click on my test settings, and I'm going to inspect that with my Chrome DevTools. And what we'll see is if we look at the LI or the item and you look at the top level page, this one is test settings. Now we don't want to highlight every top level page, so we want to pick and choose which ones are these. So I'm going to grab that name there, head over to my IDs here, my rule here. I'm going to add a hatch comma, so comma to separate each of these, and I'm going to hit the save on that. And we might need to refresh this page here. And there we go. So we've highlighted our test settings there as well. So basically what we have to do is find, for any settings or options pages, we have to find the ID. So we have to go to the ID there, copy that. We have to go into our rule. We just have to add that to our rules. For any CPTs, they all start with menu dash post dash. So this one single rule will handle all of the CPTs that you create. Right, so it's really, really that simple, and then the rest of it is just how you want to style it. So if I look at the first example here where I was just styling with just the green, all I'm doing, same deal, I'm looking for the anchor link under my menu posts, and I'm setting the color to my primary color, and on hover, I'm setting the color to my primary color hover. You can put fixed values if you want, if you don't want to use variables there. And the admin styles, I've taken this approach here of this one being more of a UI. So I'm actually defining a bunch of UI colors, and then I'm doing the same thing in here, but what I'm going is one level deeper. So I've got the anchor tag, but inside that anchor tag, I'm just going to look at one. So I'm just going to site settings and inspect. What we have is we have an anchor tag, and then inside the anchor tag, we have a WP menu name, which is wrapping our content there. So I'm actually targeting the WP menu name and just setting the background border radius and margin block in to give us a little bit of spacing between them, and our color. And then on hover of our anchor tag, we're then setting the background and the color to be different colors there. So it's the same thing, just a little bit more involved in the CSS. But that's it. That's it. All you have to do if you want to make obvious to yourself, your staff, your clients, where all of these things are that they are most likely going to want to go to edit. I mean, they're not going to go into appearance and plugins and users and tools, but they're definitely going to go into the events, reviews, team members, and ACF tests in this case. Definitely going to go into their site settings. It just makes it a lot easier to manage. All right, I'm going to leave it here. I hope this helps you in your designs.